From NRG Stadium here in Houston, Texas, where the UConn Huskies are your national champions. Terrence Oglesby, Randolph Childress, Greg Waddell, Jeff Goodman, John Fanta will join the show at some point. But most importantly, this man is a champion. Rob Dauster, how does it feel?
Feels pretty damn good, man.
You would think he was on the team, Greg.
Good. I am.
I think he got a piece of the net in his pocket.
I thought about trying to grab it. I'm not going to lie to you. I thought about trying to grab a hat and trying to grab a piece of the net. But I figured that might be just a little bit too inappropriate, right? Is that crossing the line?
Yeah,
There's a line of professionals.
Slightly.
I will wear a jersey in press row in the media center. I will do that. I will not grab a piece of the net.
Interesting. I was not expecting a diatribe from you on professionalism 20 minutes after your team won a championship. It is what it is. Look, a dominant performance, right? I think that's the word. It is what it is. UConn has been the best team in this entire tournament. They were the best team 2 nights ago. They were clearly the best team tonight. It got a little bit iffy down the stretch, but all in all, to my eyes, that was a dominant team playing a dominant game. T.O., what'd you see?
It was really unbelievable what they did on the defensive end. And San Diego State made a run, sure, but up until 24 minutes into the game, to the 16-minute mark in the second half, San Diego State was 0 of 6 on layups. You want to talk about tough shots around the rim? Go play UConn. And it's not just Sanogo down there. It's not just Klingon down there. Their defense this entire tournament has swarmed from the perimeter. Everything is tough, and everything was tough again today. Another dominant defensive performance. San Diego State, not a great offensive team. Still, 24 points in the first half. Tells you everything you need to know about this UConn defense.
They're impossible to score against in the paint. That's what happens. They dominate the paint. They make you one-dimensional. The athleticism of them takes over, and then they're out and they're running. And then no one can guard Adama Sanogo inside. It just sets the tone for those guys when they miss perimeter shots. They know they fail safe, throw it into the big guy. He's going to score or get fouled. And again, just a dominant performance of a team that just had a historic run. Let's just call it what it is.
Rob, you tweeted early in the game, Tristan Newton had some ups in this game, had some downs in this game. All in all, very productive performance from the UConn point guard, who did not shy away from saying he was here to prove everyone wrong.
Yes, we talked about it all year long, right? Are their guards going to be good enough? Is Tristan Newton going to be good enough to be able to carry this team when you get into nut-cutting time, when you get into those possessions where you need somebody to go make a play? And if you saw what they did in the last about 6 minutes of that game, after San Diego State makes their run, after they cut it to 6 points, they basically just said, all right, we're not running all of our stuff anymore. We're not running plays. We're just going to find a way to get the ball to Tristan Newton, whether it's coming off a dribble handoff, whether it's coming off a ball screen, whether it's just giving him the rock and letting him go. And he made enough plays. He wasn't great, and he wasn't perfect. And that's the thing. He didn't need to be perfect. He needed to be good enough to get the job done, and he was good enough to get the job done down the stretch. I mean, he had 19 points, 10 boards, 5 assists in a national title game.
I love how we say that's just good enough. And for what it's worth, I tried to tweet out Tristan Newton, said Tristan Hawkins because I'm an idiot, and Tristan Hawkins was standing right in front of me. You know what I'm saying, Jordan Hawkins. But I thought, to be honest with you, all he had to do was get the ball up the floor. They're running all kinds of zoom actions and stuff they've done all year. That next right play that I've talked about, and whenever San Diego State tried to take something away, UConn just popped into something else. And offensively, guys, I thought it was really an impressive performance. Not only them moving the ball from side to side, but Adama Sanogo, in order to play a guy that big and that strong, you have to have quick feet. He buried Mensah. He buried Ladie. There was nothing they could do whenever he was trying to establish post position. Dominant performance outside of about 3 minutes there in the second half. UConn, as dominant a run as we've seen in recent memory, Baylor, Villanova, and 16, Baylor in 21. But this team has to be up there. And this team beats a lot of really good teams throughout the course of history simply because the size, the athleticism, and the shot making at crucial points in the game. Jordan Hawkins hit a monster three coming off a screen right at the top of the key.
Huge.
And they continued to be good and solid the rest of the game.
Yeah, to me, looking back on this run for UConn, one of the biggest things I'll remember about this team is that whenever things did get a little dicey, someone would make a huge play. Tonight it was the Jordan Hawkins 3 when it was a 5-point game to push it back up to 8. It was immediately back up to double digits after that. In the Final Four, it was the strip. Right? We had a little bit of a late comeback, a hustle play, strip, steal, boom, game is safe. UConn has so many different guys that can beat you. And the odd thing tonight, I don't think that was UConn's A-plus game.
That's right.
Either. I think that was maybe a B-plus, and there's nothing wrong with that. This was the highest floor team in the country, the deepest team in the country, and ultimately they are champions, and no one's ever going to take that away from them. RC, did this game ever feel like it was in doubt to you when San Diego State made that run?
No, you and I were sitting there talking during the course of the game, and cut it to 5 or 6, and then Hawkins comes off, bangs that 3. Their defense tightens up. San Diego State goes on a 1 of 9 from the field at the end of the game to close it. It was over at that point. Pushed the lead back to double digits. They had a moment, and you thought they were going to try. And then when Hawkins hits that 3, you could just feel like, all right, we gave it a run, and that was it. And,
that was the one.
That was the shot
you
that
missed
you
that
just
shot,
said.
San Diego State comes down and scores.
Yes.
Then you got a ball game.
You got a serious game on your hands at that point. And he bangs the shot down. Credit to him, and they just showed the dominant team they've been all year. Defensively is where I've been impressed. We talk about all the offensive weapons that they have. This team is elite defensively, and that's the one thing I think that gets lost in translation because we're worried about how Hawkins and all these other offensive guys and the bench and the guard play, everything else. Defensively, this team separated itself all year long in this tournament, specifically on a 6-game run to a national championship.
There was. I'm sorry to interrupt you. One quick point, but there was one part of the first half. Nathan Mensah went up. He had a wide open hook shot. And he was so phased out by UConn's defense and rim presence as far as somebody else coming over and blocking shots, getting a body on him by Sanogo. He had 6 feet, wide open. Nobody jumped with him, still tried to pass. I mean, we say it time and time again, but it's a cumulative effect of their physicality, of their aggressiveness on that end of the floor. And in a national championship game where guys, in that first 10 minutes of that game, referees did a nice job letting those guys play. I thought it was a well-refereed game. I know a lot of people aren't going to say that, especially San Diego State fans, but I thought it was a well-refereed game for the most part.
I didn't love some of the calls in the second half, and I think UConn had a little bit of a better whistle than San Diego State did, and there were a couple calls down there that were just kind of like, what are we looking at? How is that a foul? So, but at the end of the day, this wasn't. Officiating did not decide this game.
Exactly. Well,
the better team won.
The better team in college basketball decided this game. And you can go back and you can watch any game and be like, this ref missed this and this ref missed that. They're not perfect.
Well, the thing is the ones that they miss, like what you just mentioned, 4 calls? Mm-hmm. We played 40 minutes.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
Like,
that's
fine. You got to live with that.
And let's be clear. If Jordan Hawkins doesn't pick up his second foul, this game's over at halftime. We're doing the show to start the second half.
Yeah,
this would have been over. They would have been up 20-25 or whatever it was. I mean, they were on their way. He picks up the foul, and then he goes down. They lose that punch, and they keep San Diego State in the game.
Yeah, Danny Hurley said at halftime, we should be up 20.
Easily.
Right now. It's a 12-point game at halftime. It was hard to argue with him, especially the way they created some separation in the second half. Rob, quickly, you've watched this team all season long, as we all have, but I'm sure you have not missed a minute of this team from the entire start of the season to here. Is this just a great team? Obviously, they're a great team, but is this a team that was great and also was peaking at the right time? Or will you remember this team as a start-to-finish dominant team?
I mean, they had their little swoon in January, right? But I think that had a lot to do with confidence. I think that had a lot to do with teams figured out how to stop Andre. And I think that there are things that you can exploit about this UConn group. Like, this is not a perfect team. There are things that you can exploit. But they figured out how to – they stopped it. They solved it. They figured out how to be able to prevent you from guarding Andre Jackson a certain way. And they figured out a way to be able to create enough offense, enough chances for Tristan Newton to get to the rim when it's not just him going one-on-one, right? Like, I would say that they did not have a historically great season, right? But this was – one of the better teams that we've seen in recent years win a title in college basketball. I mean, you want to talk about the best national champions in the last 25 years, they're probably somewhere in the top 10 of that list, right?
They may be.
In terms of how good they are. Now, they weren't great all season. But in terms
the point's not to be great all season.
Yes.
The point is to find your flaws, get better, and really start playing your best basketball at the end of February and March. Guys, if you look at it, coaches say all the time it's peaks and valleys. You want to hit that peak right at the end of the year, and UConn certainly did that. They found out how to play despite their deficiencies. They found out how to play with Andre Jackson, and that wasn't something – they didn't monster. They played him straight up. That was how – that's San Diego State's identity. And they were able to beat teams when they monstered them. They were able to beat teams when they played them straight up. Despite so many deficiencies from a lineup perspective, they still found ways to be effective. And when I say so many, there weren't really that many. Did you have a true point guard? Not necessarily, but he was certainly good enough tonight, 19, 10, and 4.
You got multiple handlers, though.
Yeah, and then you also have Andre Jackson, who can't shoot, but he figures out ways to be effective, getting downhill and getting to the rim and finding his teammates. Like, they all played their role to an extreme level. And what they were good at is where college basketball teams win games. That's in the post, that's defensively dominant, and that's with size on the perimeter.
They're a blue blood.
Wow. They've been a blue blood.
I wasn't officially going to say that until they won an Natty. No.
They've been a blue blood since '99.
No, they haven't. I can't agree with that.
I have one question on the blue blood thing,
I'll give
RC.
them now,
RC.
They're as blue as my jacket.
Can you be a blue blood and have less fans in a national title game than San Diego State?
I don't think they did.
I don't believe that.
This felt like a home crowd for San Diego State to me. Am I crazy?
Yeah, there was more San Diego State fans here, but it's also
but Connecticut's a small place.
yeah. There's not as many.
I'm just wondering what the qualifications are of a blue blood. That's all I'm asking.
How about 5 national titles, which is more? How many does Michigan have?
All right.
I'm officially on board.
On that note, listen, they are clearly a great team, the best team in college basketball this season. They got to cut down the nets. They were also peaking at the right time, and we got a chance to talk with head coach Danny Hurley, who told us about how he is peaking at the right time.
Let me welcome onto the Field of 68 After Dark champion, Danny Hurley. How's it feel?
Feels great. It feels unbelievable. Maybe it would be more exhilarating. I mean, we won by 17, so I do feel like during a tournament run, maybe we did get robbed of like a late game buzzer beater where the exhilaration would have been even higher, but these guys have been so dominant, that I'm not surprised.
I got to be honest. For my stress levels, I'm glad that didn't happen, but I feel pretty good about it. I got to ask you this. You're probably going to never let your wife talk to me ever again, but she told me that every day on the treadmill, you listen to One Shining Moment while you run. One, is that true? And two, now that you're watching it after you won a title, does it change the way that you feel about it?
Just a day at a game. Anytime that we have a game, once the season starts, I'll watch, I'll watch a couple of them, just to kind of, get that energy going and that joy, because you play the whole regular season to put yourself in position, to have moments like this, and this is the pinnacle.
So you're the younger brother of Bobby Hurley, the son of Bob Hurley. Now you have something that is yours. You have that national title. You led a team to a national title. What does it mean to you?
I just think that is probably overstated, or in terms of me trying to measure up. I don't ever, maybe when I was younger, I was resentful. But now I'm just like, I got so much pride in what they've done. And, for me, I'm just trying to, to be the best version of myself. Whether I won this game tonight or lost this game, I'd still feel like, I'm happy in my, I'm happy in my own skin. And, I believe in myself as a coach, and everyone's life's different. Some people peak at 20, some people peak at 30, some people peak at 40, and maybe my peak years will be in the 50s, because I certainly won't be coaching in the 60s.
You said 2 years ago, you warned everybody. You said it's coming. Is it here?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't get more here than right here, right now. So,
Dan, congratulations.
We are live. It's the Field of 68 here from Houston, Texas. Your UConn Huskies are the national champions. Rob Dauster, Terrence Oglesby, Randolph Childress. I'm Greg Waddell. We are presented, as always, by Bet Rivers and by Underdog Fantasy. If you can't see the T-shirt, see the T-shirt. Go to Underdog Fantasy. Use promo code FIELD, F-I-E-L-D, for $100 when you sign up.
Do it.
And place a $100 game. All right.
Do it.
Rob, we talked briefly before we clicked record tonight about where this UConn team fits in historically in the rankings with the other UConn national champion teams. Is this the best national champion that UConn has had in your mind?
No, 1999 wasn't. I don't think that it's really close. And I think 2004 was the second best, and I don't think that's really all that close. But I will tell you this, and I was talking with a couple of the UConn fans over there. Since they know best. Yeah, since they know best. But this one, I think this one feels the best out of all of them. And maybe this is just recency bias because I'm literally sitting here courtside wearing a UConn jersey after they just cut down the nets. But honestly didn't think that they were ever going to get back to this level. I did not. When they were in the AAC, finishing in third to last place, going on road trips to Tulsa and going on road trips to East Carolina and having rivalries with South Florida and Central Florida, like I didn't think that they would ever get back to this. So it's the fact that we've reached this level again. I say we. The fact that they have reached this level again is just something where, I don't know, it's pretty awesome. I didn't think they would be back here.
I think it ranks higher amongst those teams because of the negative climate and everything that they're dealing with. NILs, transfer portal times, and a roster that I used a football analogy when I said to you the other day. I said this is a team that has to win now, because even if everyone returns, the probability of everyone being able to come back under the salary cap restrictions, using that football analogy, can't happen.
Can't have two quarterbacks on the same roster?
No.
Can't have two centers on the same roster?
It can't happen. That's my point. And they've been dominant together. Those two guys control the paint all year. They're just not going to be together next year for whatever reason.
Yeah, and we certainly have more time later in the show to keep telling Rob why next year will not be as special as this year was for his UConn Huskies. All right, we're going to go to break quickly. When we come back, we're going to talk about how this year was the year of the big, and ultimately the team with the best bigs won the championship.
Today's episode of the Field of 68 After Dark is presented by our partners over at Underdog Fantasy, the easiest place to play college basketball pick'em, where you can win real cash prizes simply by picking player stats in this weekend's Final Four games. And pick'em, all you do is pick whether a player will go higher or lower on Underdog's projected totals, whether it's points or rebounds or assists or all of them combined. If you're like me and you think Adama Sanogo is going to go nuts this weekend, pick higher on his points projection, pick higher on his rebounds projection, maybe throw in a lower on Matt Bradley's scoring totals, a higher on Isaiah Wong, whatever it is that you like. Put them all together, and if you hit them all, then you can win as much as 20 times your money on a single game. Underdog's slick mobile app is easy enough that dummies like Jeff Goodman have even figured out how to use it. So go to UnderdogFantasy.com or download the app and use the code FIELD, that's FIELD, to get a 100% deposit match up to $100.
Field of 68 live from the Final Four, presented by Bet Rivers, presented by Underdog Fantasy. Rob Dauster, Greg Waddell, Terrence Oglesby, Jeff Goodman, and Jeff Goodman's currently trying to recruit Bill Walton to join the show, it appears.
Trying. Didn't work. Bill's tired.
Bill said I'm going home.
I'm
He's going
tired
to San
too.
Diego.
That's right. Yeah, he's a little bummed.
He's got a better shot, than all of us. We're going to the cold weather. Bill's going to San Diego.
Hey, he's going back to the Conference of
I've
Champions.
been to his
Jeff.
TP, by the way.
Have you?
The Mountain West? Conference of Champions of Mountain West?
Something like that. Something like that. All right, I teased before the break, guys. We said all year this was the year of the big. We printed books about it. We made graphics about it on social media. Everybody talked about it all season long. And then we talked about a lot of different bigs at various points in the season. I think it's fitting that ultimately the team that cut down the nets tonight was the team that had two bigs that belong on the list of the best bigs in America. Jeff, how indicative of this season as a whole for the sport is it that UConn is the champion with that duo in the front court?
I mean, it's crazy because, again, you look at it, and what have we talked about? Teams with kind of plotting bigs don't advance in the NCAA tournament. Dan Hurley found a way, and they're not as plotting as some of the other guys.
They're not Big Ten. They're not Big Ten bigs. I mean, Sanogo
No,
can
but
move,
Klingon,
runs
you
now.
look at him, he moves well.
Yeah.
He does move well laterally. He's not like, a great athlete. I mean, he's a great athlete for his size. But again, you look at Klingon and you're like, oh, he's a traditional big.
Sure.
He's not a new age big, right? He's not a guy who's going to step out and shoot threes. But I think what they're able to do even tonight, offensively with Sanogo early, and then he was really good defensively, and then Klingon completely changed the game to me from a defensive end.
Yes.
They were scared shitless to go in there after the first.
When
They
you-
didn't score. I mean, think of how long they went without scoring a field goal.
10 minutes without making a shot, and that
Right.
had everything.
It's 11 minutes. 11 minutes.
without making a shot. That had everything to do with the presence that
Right.
Donovan Klingon
Everything.
had in the paint. Everything.
I know, and they don't have shooters anyway. I mean, they don't have scorers. I watched them play last year in the Mountain West tournament, and I was like, they can't score at all. Well, they added Trammell. He could score a little bit, but again, he's so small.
Yeah, this was not his matchup.
No. This is a terrible matchup for him and really for San Diego State because a lot of times they're playing with two guys who could score on the court, right? You got, Arop on there. You got Mensah down low, and then you had, what's the other, Sekou. So you have three guys on the court towards the end of the game, none of which you really were scared of could score.
Right. There's a lot to be said there. And we talked about it before you got on. They're 0-6 in the first 24 minutes of the game from the layup area of the court.
Again, why?
Klingen, Sonogo, all that stuff.
Right.
Here's the truth of the matter. UConn is good at all the same stuff San Diego State is. They're just better at it. And they're 2 inches taller and about 10 pounds heavier at almost every spot. And that's crazy to say. Everybody except for Ledee. Everybody except for him. Yeah. And even Donovan Klingen made him look small.
Yeah. He makes everybody look small.
It was incredible. And you see Ledee on TV, and you're like, man, this is a grown man right here. And then he walks up beside Klingen. He's every bit as big, and he's about 6 inches taller. I mean, it's the size of this team around the perimeter, on the interior. This was a fun team to watch over the last 6 games.
The reason why they were able to win with the bigs is because they didn't rely solely on the bigs, right? They have guards that can play. The most dangerous player on their roster is Jordan Hawkins. They have the two different playmakers that you can rely on when you need to be able to rely on that. They play 4-around-1 with guys that make a ton of threes, right? So you can play off of your big men in the middle and put 4 shooters around them. But to me, the biggest thing is the fact that they have the two of them, right? I've talked about this all week. They make you prepare for basically two different teams because of those two big guys. They're two totally opposite basketball players. What do they do? What do they do similar to Yo that is not simply playing the 5 position?
Was there a ton of ball screens even? I mean, for San Diego State, it was all swing, try to go somewhere, and the wings just swallowed everything up. And if they did get their hip on somebody, that's when the 7-footer came over and blocked shots, or that's when Sonogo was coming over getting close. They were just – I never thought I would see the front court of San Diego State intimidated. That's what we were saying early in the second half.
I mean, I don't understand why we thought, San Diego State Mensah can't score.
Because they've been bullying everybody else that they've been playing against up until this point. It's a
Sonogo
national
is
championship
so
game,
strong,
and they've been beating everybody. Yeah,
he is so strong.
Yeah.
And again, then you're bringing Klingen, who's so big and moves so well laterally. I don't know. They're just, like you said, they were put together so well.
Yep.
Because the role guys that they brought in knew that they were role guys.
Yes.
They accepted their roles. They weren't trying to be more. Joey Calcaterra was brought in as a practice player, legitimately brought in as a practice player. And he gets going early, and Aline is kind of in the doghouse, right? Because he couldn't make shots, and then he sticks with it, and then he comes on late. So
Calcaterra hit a big shot at the end of the game.
2 big shots, didn't he, tonight? But a big one, I mean, obviously the biggest one was Hawkins. Cut to 5, and I know you guys probably already talked about it, but he's like the silent assassin, isn't he?
You had a great tweet. Jordan Hawkins chews gum and makes threes. That was a great tweet.
That's all he does, man.
That was awesome.
Yeah, he's a bucket. So I think, from my perspective, this was a pretty satisfying conclusion to this Final Four. I mean, so much was made coming in to this Final Four of who are these schools, what are the brands, is this good, is this bad for the sport? Nobody knows. And in the end, we get a game that went down to the wire between two of the non-Blue Bloods. That was an electric moment, the most electric moment of the tournament. And now at the end, on the final game of the regular season, we get the team we feel is the best team in the sport winning the championship. That's a satisfying conclusion, obviously, for Rob Dauster. But, T.O., do you agree with that we, as fans, kind of feel good about where this sport ended?
You know what? This was a tournament in which there was a lot of upset. There were a lot of great storylines. The small guy David beating up on Goliath, this, that, and the third. But I think all in all, the best team in college basketball won.
They just had 3 shitty weeks. And, Hurley's probably going to blame me for the 3 shitty weeks.
No, you know what it was? It wasn't – I don't think we talked enough about Tristan Newton's struggles during those weeks. When they got down bad – and I think part of that was because when they weren't guarding Andre Jackson, it meant that you had another guy in the paint, and he couldn't drive and get those curls to the basket, and you couldn't get Adama those post touches. And when you can't get Adama those post touches, then it kind of limits your effectiveness running Jordan Hawkins. It just everything gets bogged down when you're playing 4-on-5 offensively. And Tristan Newton, I mean, look, we've said it. I said it at the start of the year. You guys said it during the year. Tristan Newton, Jeff,
listen,
he figured it out.
We weren't the only ones who said it. the UConn staff questioned it. They questioned whether Tristan Newton was the guy, right? You know that. Mm-hmm. They did. When I was there preseason, Andre Jackson was hurt. He hurt his finger or something, so he sat out practice. So I remember coming out of practice being like, man, you guys, first thing I said, you guys are in trouble point guard-wise. And all the assistants and Dan were there, and they were like, you might be right. You might be right. They just didn't know at that point. They didn't know what Tristan was going to grow into.
And they figured out how to be able to maximize his strength, right? How strong he is and how big he is. He's like,
well,
he's
especially
like 6'4",
tonight.
6'5",
especially against Trammell. I mean, that was honestly the biggest mismatch of any mismatch out there, I thought, was Trammell against Newton.
Hey,
because
T.O.,
Newton could do whatever he wanted.
In the pregame, who did I say was going to have a big game?
Tristan Newton.
Because Trammell couldn't guard anybody on the court. Nobody. Mm-hmm. Zero.
Did you not predict a buzzer beater in this one? I wasn't sure. I didn't listen to your segment.
I said it was only going to be a 9-point win. Though,
Oh, okay.
So.
I said 12 to 15.
Yeah.
We missed
I had
that.
the parlay, by the way. I had the
Nice.
Did you?
Yeah, I had UConn first half and UConn over.
I thought that was your new
I just went
shtick,
all
honestly. I thought you were just going to predict a buzzer beater every game.
No, only when there's going to be a buzzer beater.
Got it. Understood. So let's flip quickly to the San Diego State side of things here. Obviously, a very magical run.
Great run.
To your point, T.O., they out-toughed nearly everybody they played in this tournament. Physicality, the elite defense. Their fan base is certainly proud of this run. It's going to be something to remember for forever. My question to you guys, as people who cover the sport, is this a run that 10 years from now we will look back on and say, how did that team really get there? Or is this a team we'll say, damn, that was a real good team that was deserving of a spot in that championship game?
I think we'll say, how the hell did they get there? I think we'll look at that roster and see that none of those guys are playing in the NBA and look at it and say, wow, I can't believe they got to the national title game. Because this could be a one-off. I know we're all talking about the COVID year. We got 2 more years of it.
I think they're a product of the times, right? Is that
Right.
kind of what you're alluding to?
Yeah, no doubt. But again, like, people think that just because they got here this year that it's going to happen for the next 2 years because of the extra COVID year being in effect for the next 2 years. I'm just not sold on that.
Yep.
It's going to depend on how good the top of the sport is. Because I think that what we can all agree on is the top of the sport this year was not as good as the top of the sport normally is.
Well, it was
right?
diluted because of the
Yes,
transfer
it was
portal,
diluted
right?
because of the transfer portal. And we can get into preseason top 25 stuff later on. But looking at it, I know it's tough to put it together, but those teams at the top, like the top 5, top 7, there's a lot of teams you could sit there and talk yourself into being really good. Am I crazy?
For next year?
For next year, yeah.
I have a hard time talking myself into anybody being that good next year.
Really?
Yeah, again, well, it's hard. We don't know.
Yeah, we don't know who's
we
there.
have no idea who's getting Max Asmus and some of these other transfers.
Right.
And a bunch of transfers, trust me, haven't gotten in the portal yet. Big names.
Oh, who? Come on.
I'm not saying.
Come on, do
I'm
it.
not
Do
doing
it.
No, I will not do it. I will not do it, but it might have been somebody who played on the floor tonight.
Wow. Spicy.
I know.
All right.
I know who it is.
We've already alluded to that like 3 times.
What do you want me to do?
Okay. Hey, listen, I'm the
Why
pro
does Greg look
tampering guy.
shocked?
I'm the pro tampering guy on the panel. I don't like people to be tampering without me in the know, Jeff. All right? I'm going to bug you about this while our watchers get to listen to an interview that we did with Bobby Hurley. And while we talked about how San Diego State fans will be able to be very proud of this run, man, you talk about pride. Bobby Hurley is pretty proud of his brother.
All right, Bobby, you just watched your younger brother win a national title. What's it like?
I just feel so blessed to be here and see him do it. To watch him do it the last 4 games, I don't know, it's one of the great things that's happened to me, like really. And so all the things I did as a player or whatever, like right now in the moment, it's hard to think of something that's better than this.
Which is crazy. I mean, again, and you have such a great relationship with him, and you know what he's had to kind of go through to get here.
Yeah.
I mean, you were with him at Wagner. You were with him at Rhode Island. Everybody talks about him being in the shadow of you as a player, of your dad as a coach. How cool is it to see this?
I mean, this journey, it feels like it's impossible. Like to get to this moment, like it's so hard, and all the ups and downs, and what he's been through, and I know how good he is, and I thought this day was coming, and I'm just so happy he did it.
What were the emotions like for you at the end there? I mean, even listening to him, I saw you were choking up.
Just seeing, I want to sit back and watch him do it because, like he deserves this moment, and this is his, and very few people could do what he just did. It's freaking amazing.
Hey, they dominated for 6 games. None of them were close. I mean, they got it down to 5 here, but they never put real game pressure. What was the key to UConn's dominance?
I mean, they're complete. I mean, they don't really have a glaring weakness. And they really guarded well. I mean, they got shooting, they got inside play, they got great scheme on offense. I mean, across the board, it's hard to find anything that's a flaw.
Why aren't you on the court right now?
Hey, look, I just want to sit back, and I'm watching the videos, and I'm going to get out there and see him. But he's with his team, and I'll get to the floor soon.
You're going to have a few beers later?
Yeah, I can't wait to have a few beers, Jeff.
Listen, congrats. I know what this means to you and your family. Congrats, Bobby.
Appreciate you, brother. Thank you.
That was Bobby Hurley with us live, exclusive on the Field of 68 from the Final Four. Coming up, we're going to talk about what this means for the UConn program going forward on the Field of 68.
You guys ever get tired of trying to prove that you won an argument, that your takes weren't hot, they were just right? Well, I have an answer to all of your problems. Vaulted is a new sports prediction app that turns your opinions into facts. You can store all of your predictions and hot takes in your own vault now and forever. Challenge your friends, keep track of the results, and prove that you are, in fact, the smartest one in the room. Vaulted is also releasing a Final Four competition called their Last Four Pool. What amounts to a hot take challenge, it has a $5,000 prize pool. Who doesn't like free money? I like free money. So if you like free money like me, then go and download the Vaulted app at the link below. Sign up for your free 3-month trial and store your predictions now. You know what the best part about the end of the college basketball season is? That signifies the start of spring, the start of summer, the start of hot weather, the start of late nights, the start of weekends on the water. And the best way to stay refreshed during the summer months is with Hornitos Ranch Water, a premium sparkling cocktail with a balance of freshly squeezed lime paired with smooth tequila notes. Hornitos Tequila is a 100% agave premium tequila from the lowlands of Jalisco. It's specifically from the town of Tequila. Originating from one of the most historic distilleries, Hornitos paved the way for all future tequila brands, starting with the tequila name. An official partner of the Houston Astros, you can buy Hornitos Ranch Water in a can, or you can come to Houston's best sports bar, Little Woodrow's in Edo, and get a fresh, handmade cocktail with Hornitos Tequila. There's nothing better on a warm spring day than Hornitos Ranch Water and a Houston Astros baseball game.
Welcome back to the Field of 68, live from NRG Stadium here in Houston, Texas, where the UConn Huskies have just been crowned your national champions. With me tonight, Rob Dauster, Terrence Oglesby, Jeff Goodman, Randolph Childress is right off screen. My name is Greg Waddell. Guys, we ran an interview early in the show of Danny Hurley. Jeff, I know all week you were taking the over-under on how many tears would be shed from Danny tonight. I don't think he's cried yet, has he?
I'm sure he did in the locker room, I would think, or embracing his parents. If he didn't, he will at some point. But, you know, I've known Danny for 25 years, you know, his first year at St. Benedict's Prep. And, you know, this is a guy that, again, always sarcastic, tries to kind of hide maybe some of the emotions that he's dealt with. But I think over the last couple of years, you've started to see the softer side of Dan Hurley a little bit. You know, more comfortable now that he's at UConn, that he knows he's kind of arrived. Obviously, there's pressure there. We know that when he took over. But this was a major rebuilding job. Remember, when he took it over, Kevin Ollie kind of run it down.
It was a dumpster fire.
Yeah, I mean, he was.
They finished third to last in an AAC and finished behind East Carolina one season.
Yeah, I mean.
Put that into context.
You know, Dan Hurley was the right guy for this job because in a lot of ways he was the opposite of Kevin Ollie.
I already gave this answer. I want to ask you this, Goodman. Did you ever think that UConn would get back to this level under Dan?
I thought
I did not at first.
Yeah, I thought he'd get him there. When they win in the Big East, that's when I felt like, you know, he's just such a relentless worker. He connects well with people, connects well with kids because, again, he can screw around with them, right? He can coach them hard. He's kind of an old school guy in a new age world that's been able to adapt because he's kind of got some Izzo and self in him a little bit. You know, when you think of it.
Man, you can coach kids hard as long as you love them up.
And that's what he does.
Right.
That's what he does. He shows them who he is. He screws around with them. That's what Izzo and Self do. You know, he just hasn't been doing it nearly as long as those guys, but I think he's got a lot of that in him. And again, you know, you got the UConn brand, right? The UConn brand, especially because it's in the Northeast, and you don't have to compete with nearly as many programs in the Northeast. Syracuse hasn't been great lately, right? What else do you have that you're fighting if kids want to kind of stay close to home in New York? St. John's has sucked. You know, Maryland hadn't been great. Georgetown sucked. So you kind of went in at the right time over the last couple of years to be able to get some of these big-time players from the Northeast.
Let me ask you this, though, because you just ran through schools that would be primary competition for UConn, and we're talking going forward now. Most of the schools you just mentioned now have brand-new head coaches
He's
that have
got a leg up on him, though. What he's got is a ring. Hey, guys, when he goes in, now look at what you can do here at UConn. Look at what we have in terms of a fan base, and they're going to get NIL. That's kind of the last thing for this UConn program is getting NIL that can be competitive with anybody not in the SEC or, you know, not maybe in the Big 12, some of those Big 12 teams.
So he said in the interview, I honestly don't know if he was joking. You guys tell me. He said, I'm peaking in my 50s right now. God knows I won't be coaching in my 60s.
They say that all the time.
If I set the over-under, Jeff, if I set the over-under with our friends at Bet Rivers on 0.5 more national championships in the future for Danny Hurley at UConn, would you take the over or would you take the under?
I'm going the under just because, again, the odds say you're winning. I mean, the odds are just not in the favor of you winning multiple national titles. Jim Calhoun did an incredible job, but most, you know, is he going to put himself in the class of Kay and Roy? Maybe, and Self has won too. Maybe he gets there. I just think in the new age college basketball, it's going to be hard to win multiple titles.
I'm going the over. I think they'll get another one.
And that's fair. That's completely fair. And again, I just think.
Oh, you're right. In the odds. I mean, not many people do it twice.
That's what I'm saying.
That's
I'm just going. I'm going with the numbers there.
Yeah, and I'm going with feel, which is you're a numbers guy. I'm a feel guy.
I'm actually not a numbers guy at all, but I am here.
Well, here you are. But I have so much faith in how he approaches his players, his intensity, his positive. Here's the thing that gets overlooked, and we get to see it because we're closer to the floor than people that are watching on TV. How positive he is with his guys. And like he's coaching him up and coaching him up. Like he is a lunatic. Let's not
his
beat
theory,
over the bush, but beat him down in practice, love him up in the game. But he looks like a lunatic when he's going after referees. However, this guy is constantly on his guy's side. He has their back. Recruits see that. Recruits, you're going to continue to be able to get guys. I think because of how I'm going to be honest with you, Jeff. I was so impressed with how he managed that Miami win.
Yeah.
How he was able to identify which lineups in the game were successful. The end of the first half, whenever he had his bench in there for an elongated period of time. In the second half, where he mitigated Miami's runs just by slowing the tempo, calling timeout, long-form offense. I thought he was
from one of the best coaches ever.
That's what I'm saying.
His father.
Exactly right. And he mitigated and he game managed that. On top of the fact that I think he's still going to be able to recruit at a high level. Look at their next year's recruiting class, all freshmen coming in.
It's NIL, though. NIL is going to be the game changer.
Of course.
But here's the thing with Dan Hurley. Look at his coaching career at every stop that he's been at. It's always gone up. He's taken something at the bottom and it's gone up. He's never peaked and come back down. So why would we ever think that he's going? Like, at what point does it stop?
I don't think, look at Rhode Island. They're not going to fall off. I'm not saying they're going to fall off. I'm just saying it's damn hard to win multiple national titles.
Because like, let's be honest, it's kind of fluky to win a national title.
Unless you have. I mean, they got talent.
There was nothing fluky about this championship.
Not this national title, but like
overall, you need some luck.
To win 6 games in a row against really good teams.
Yeah, like you need to get the opportunity to play 2 West Coast Conference teams and a Mountain West team in the title.
Take it easy. How about this one?
You're not going to make it through this show.
The average seed total of every national champion since 1985, since they went to a 64-team tournament, the average seed total beaten by the national champion was 39. You know what UConn's seed total wins were?
39.
39.
Well, I was going to say, you talk about luck playing a factor, and it does, because you need to have the right matchup and all that stuff. But
They stayed healthy.
Exactly. And we were talking about not only the future of UConn, but we were talking about the future of San Diego State. Guys, I don't think San Diego State's going anywhere. Simply because of their recent success. Are they going to make it to the national championship game every year?
You know where they might go? The Pac-12.
Well, that's right. They might go to the Pac-12, but you always hope to be in position to get to the national championship game or the Final Four. And the fact that they continue to be that team that's in play every single year, there's going to be more opportunities. What a win for San Diego State to get all the way here. What a win for the Mountain West Conference, who after last year 0-4, they needed a good showing, and, buddy, they got one.
So, Jeff, you mentioned it. Danny Hurley learned from one of the best coaches he possibly could, his father. We got to talk to the Hurley parents who told us this was such a dream come true for their son.
All right, the proud parents here. Tears shed yet?
Have
Any
I?
tears? Yes.
No,
you.
Danny cries enough for me and a lot of other people in the building, and it's becoming something. Are you going to start right now again?
No, I cried before the game.
It's just a very.
Why the pregame cry? I don't understand it.
I don't know.
This is, he's an emotional person. This is meaningful to him, and he and these kids have shared the journey where Andre and he knows every member of Andre's family. Andre will run through a wall for him. When Andre does that, then Sunogo's right behind him running through walls. And if I'm on this team and those two are running through walls, get online behind them because they need to do it too. And he's gotten these guys to buy into you win. It validates who you are. You can average 10 points a game more, any of these guys, but you don't have this performance in a tournament like they had, dominant.
What, as a coach first and then a dad, what are you proudest about with your son?
He's clever. He's clever. I mean, he can give you the shucks, parts about the game when they come out of timeouts. Every time they come out of timeout to end the half, they always have something where the opponent is like, if you were looking at the bench, they'd be looking around like, we didn't have that in scout report.
What is as a mom, I assume it's completely different for you off the court. What are you proudest about?
I first of all, I can't believe it. It's like a dream, and it's something. It's something. It's something
that. What kind of dad and what kind of father and husband is he right now?
Oh, he's the best.
Yeah, his team reflects who he is as a parent. Right? Everything.
Oh, yeah. You're going to answer for me all the time?
I love it.
No, but I thought that it just hit me that I should have said it.
You just wanted to help.
No.
Wait. You know how much trouble I'm in now? Oh my God.
No, it's just been so amazing that I've had the opportunity to see Danny do this as a coach. Yeah. It's
you never thought, right?
No, we do.
How
good a coach do you think he is?
He's a great coach.
But when did you think? I mean, again, when did you think he would follow in his footsteps? And both your sons. I mean, that's a crazy part of this.
I always thought that Danny would be a great coach.
Okay.
Ever since he was at, with us.
He worked camps for me when he was in college, and he could capture kids' attention with sarcasm. Like, he would have everybody relaxed.
No, he's the most sarcastic dude I've ever met.
And
ever.
You never know when he's just playing you. But with the kids on the team, it is he's authentic. Maybe with everybody else, he may be messing with everybody. With the kids, he's authentic.
All right, listen.
He cares for them. They care about him.
Congrats. I know how proud you guys are. I know what it means to you guys as well as him, so enjoy.
You know what the best part about the end of the college basketball season is? That signifies the start of spring, the start of summer, the start of hot weather, the start of late nights, the start of weekends on the water. And the best way to stay refreshed during the summer months is with Hornitos Ranch Water, a premium sparkling cocktail with a balance of freshly squeezed lime paired with smooth tequila notes. Hornitos Tequila is a 100% agave premium tequila from the lowlands of Jalisco. It's specifically from the town of Tequila. Originating from one of the most historic distilleries, Hornitos paved the way for all future tequila brands, starting with the tequila name. An official partner of the Houston Astros, you can buy Hornitos Ranch Water in a can, or you can come to Houston's best sports bar, Little Woodrow's in Edo, and get a fresh, handmade cocktail with Hornitas tequila. There's nothing better on a warm spring day than Hornitas, ranch water, and a Houston Astros baseball game. Today's episode of the Field of 68 After Dark is presented by our partners over at Underdog Fantasy, the easiest place to play college basketball pick'em, where you can win real cash prizes simply by picking player stats in this weekend's Final Four games. And pick'em, all you do is pick whether a player will go higher or lower on Underdog's projected totals, whether it's points or rebounds or assists or all of them combined. If you're like me and you think Adama Sanogo is going to go nuts this weekend, pick higher on his points projection, pick higher on his rebounds projection, maybe throw in a lower on Matt Bradley's scoring totals, a higher on Isaiah Wong, whatever it is that you like. Put them all together, and if you hit them all, then you can win as much as 20 times your money on a single game. Underdog's slick mobile app is easy enough that dummies like Jeff Goodman have even figured out how to use it. So go to UnderdogFantasy.com or download the app and use the code FIELD, that's F-I-E-L-D, to get a 100% deposit match up to.
Welcome back to NRG Stadium, everybody, for our final segment of the week. The UConn Huskies, for the 5th time in school history, are national champions in men's basketball, and it's all come since 1999. John Fanta, Rob Dauster, Randolph Childress, Jeff Goodman. Jeff, you said that you have more energy at this time left in the show in Houston, more so than you did in New Orleans. How is that so?
I got a little bit more sleep in Houston. New Orleans, as you know, doesn't really shut down. Me and Rob, although you're younger than me, you look better than me last year. You were able to.
I still look better than you.
No, I don't know if you do.
Better than you every day.
I don't know if you do.
I mean, this Final Four run, this championship run for UConn did not age you at all.
No,
they won by 120 points.
Yeah,
so.
I know. I told Danny that.
It's
He was
amazing with that and not having Bourbon Street here that will do for you.
Yeah. So Danny was like,
Are you going to go to the parade?
No, probably not.
I think it's Saturday.
Long way.
Saturday?
Saturday?
Tough day to do it.
Maybe I
Bring
will.
the kids.
Yeah, let's go. We're going to the parade. You want to go? You want to roll, Fanta?
I can't
I'll pick
do
you
it.
up. I'm
Easter
driving.
weekend, Rob.
I'm
making
driving
bread.
up.
I'm
Hey,
making
Who would do
Easter
a parade
bread.
on Easter weekend?
I'm
Fanta,
baking
Fanta,
Easter
I'm
bread.
driving up. I'm driving from Mount Laurel. I'll drive up. I'll scoop you in Booton, and then we'll drive up the stores.
I'm sorry. I have spent so much time with you. 8 combined hours in a vehicle sounds
Miserable.
No, not miserable. Well,
miserable.
All right, let's
I'm a
have
better
some.
driver than Trevor, so we'll be good.
So, I want to reflect again on UConn, but I actually want to try a different angle on the last segment of the entire show for the entire week, and I'm going to start with you, sir. When you think about moments, or a player, or a coach, anything in general, when you think about everything we've covered, what will be 2 or 3 memorable things or teams from this college basketball season?
Wow. I think we got to go to Purdue upset.
Yes.
I think
Totally
that's
agree.
as big of a storyline as there is.
To FDU.
Fairleigh Dickinson's upset is big. I mean, even the Ivy League. I mean,
Princeton.
the Princeton, Arizona upset. And again, I'm going to come back here with the Huskies. I didn't see it early on. I didn't think they'd win it. And I got to admit now, I had said this earlier, they're a blue blood.
Oh, you're finally admitting they're a blue blood.
They had to win it.
You were so late on this.
No, bullshit.
So late.
No.
By like 2 hours.
They had to win it. Before just getting here wasn't it. They had
Hey,
to
was
finish
Calhoun here tonight?
No, Jim unfortunately not feeling the best.
Really?
Under the weather, he's doing all right, but yeah. Did you have a submission, sir?
Yeah, for one of the most memorable. Yeah. Well, how are we not mentioning the Field of 68's very own Furman team?
That's right.
That was the one
I mean, how about
certainly
that?
up there.
Broadcast this year.
Yeah, how about that? I mean, we did a game broadcast for them. Let me get that real quick so you don't have to strain yourself. I'll give it back to you. And then that amazing steal at the end of the game and then the three-point shot, that was awesome. I haven't screamed that loud for a game I wasn't directly involved in my life.
My wife was ready to kill me after that game because
Oh,
she
it was
was on
nuts.
a call. She was on a call, so I started screaming and going nuts. And I get a text that said, "Rob, shut the fuck up."
I've gotten that one before too.
And the Fairleigh Dickinson. I
For
me,
me,
in
it's
the
FAU. For me, it's FAU.
In
yeah.
FAU.
I
and
mean,
in San
getting
Diego
here,
State
getting
game.
this close to playing.
Yeah.
And honestly, they would have given UConn a better run. I'm not saying they would have beat them, but I think they would have given them a better run because, again, they had a bunch of guards that could beat you off the bounce a little bit. They shoot it better. So maybe they could have caught fire a little bit from three. Where San Diego State, again, we went through it. They just can't score.
The big thing for me looking back at this tournament is it's going to be the upsets that I remember. It's going to be, I don't want to say the Cinderellas because I think that's probably too strong for how good Florida Atlantic is.
Right.
But it's going to be the teams that got to places that they didn't belong.
Like Fairleigh
right?
Dickinson.
Fairleigh Dickinson didn't belong in the
Princeton.
second round of the tournament, and they got there. Princeton didn't belong in the second week of the tournament, and they got there.
Yeah.
Right? Furman is not supposed to beat Virginia, and they did. Right? FAU and San Diego State are not supposed to be in
the
Houston
Final Four.
on this stage, and they got there. And to
Right.
me, that is the beauty of this sport, right? Like the general public is going to whine and they're going to say, oh, this did like X number of viewers less than last year's when they had the Blue Bloods. And there's going to be headlines about it and people are going to talk about it. And all of the business of sports are going to draw together these big think pieces about why this, that, and the third. But, you know, this is games like this, storylines like this, teams like this, runs like this are why everybody loves it because it doesn't matter who you are. You can have Duke
That's
written
right.
across your jersey. You can have Florida Atlantic written across your jersey.
we
You can
had
have
the
Kentucky,
four,
You
yeah.
can have San Diego State, and then you could still make it here and play for a national title, play for everything. It's not
yeah.
like that in any other sport. That's nowhere else in the world in any other sport.
Well
We had
said.
Florida Blue Bloods a year ago, and everyone's concerned about how this place will look. We had over 73,000 people for the Final Four, and then when we got to the Final Two, we still had 73,000.
This
so
crowd
all the
was great.
storylines about viewership and attendance, rather, that wasn't going to happen because of San Diego State was in it. Kick rocks, it didn't happen. Great showing, great festivities, everything about it. Houston even had a great time.
And you know what's going to happen next year? Next year, something's going to happen, and there's going to be some group of 4 teams at the Final Four, and we're going to find a way to spin the narrative and say, what does this mean about college basketball?
Right.
And we're going to say, this is what it means moving forward.
Now, this
And it
might have
doesn't
been a
mean
one-off.
shit. This is
It
the
might have been a
sport, man.
one-off, but
Every year is a one-off.
But you can enjoy it. Like that's this season from start to finish. We talked about, it was the big, but then it was parity. Then it was parity, and no team looked dominant. And, you know, to be honest, UConn was the most dominant of the really good teams. There wasn't a great team, and that's fine. That's fine. I mean, like, they've got a lottery pick on their team. And Jordan Hawkins,
Yes,
he's
sir.
going to be a lottery pick.
They got a bunch of pros. And
Donovan Klingen's going to play in the NBA.
Yes.
It's going to happen again
Andre-
next year.
Yeah,
You're going to have
Jackson-
another team here
Andre
next year. You're not
Jackson will
expecting.
play in the
Yeah,
NBA.
yeah. You
Alex
got a
Karaban's
bunch
got
of really
chance.
good players.
Yes.
And again, you know, to
You
me,
want- so
the
let me
other
ask-
thing we
let me-
learned, the other thing we learned this year more than ever, again, is what wins? Experience.
Yep.
Experience wins.
Yep.
Don't be young. Don't be young.
Get old, stay old.
Right. Alabama, too many young dudes. Kentucky next year, probably too many young dudes.
So speaking of that, I know what was good. So to spin it forward, because we only have so many minutes left. I'm going to put you really on the spot here, each one of you. So whoever answers first, go right ahead. Make your case. Who is that school, that program, next year that could be, I'm twisting it here, the Kansas State, the Missouri,
Too
the
early
Pitt.
to tell because of the portal.
know.
You
Yeah,
can't
you
tell.
can't know.
You can't.
Well,
You
let's
can't
spin it
go.
I mean,
forward.
I have a clear one, but
Go ahead.
it's St. John's. It's St.
Well, yeah,
John's. St.
'cause
John's will be
Tina-
in the NCAA tournament, and they could win a game for the first time in over 2 decades. Who do you think could be here next year from an experience standpoint? Who could be in the Final Four? Who would you bet money on right now that makes the Final Four next year?
Who would I bet money
Yeah.
on that makes
Yeah.
the Final Four?
Throw $100 at one program.
I'm not ready to put it on any program right now. And here's
come on, you
here's
just-
the reason why. But here's the reason why. Because this is what I was going to say. Me and you both had the same plan in terms of spinning it forward. But what I was going to say is, what do you think UConn is going to look like?
I think
next
UConn
year?
will be significantly
And where-
younger
and
next
where
year.
Where do you rank them in terms of, Jeff, I know you did your preseason top 25 today. Where would you rank them, and what are their chances to get back next year?
I think I have them somewhere between 5 and 10, because I don't think both Sonogo and Klingen are going to be on this team. We know Hawkins is gone. We know Jackson is, I don't know, 75% gone.
He probably should go.
Yeah, I mean,
Andre, you can go ahead.
You can go, you're giving
gonna
him the
get
blessing.
guaranteed money in the
changes-
league.
that
Gave a very
Go ahead.
gave a very
It's
different
amazing.
answer in the
That
locker room
changes
just now.
everything,
He
though.
did, but that could be a cop.
As far as
Again,
them
you
being
never
back.
know.
He
You
did
never
say he
know.
planned to be
Once-
back, but-
There's the emotion. Whoever asked them the question, anyway, like, why? Why do we ask the? I remember when Sam Decker, we asked Kaminsky, and I didn't ask him, but other people asked Sam Decker and Kaminsky the question right after they got knocked out in the Final Four. And I'm just like, what are we doing? And then Decker, a couple hours later, he texted me and he was like, I'm definitely coming back. That's fine, but like, don't get the raw emotion. And to be honest, even that night, like when they're ready, they'll say it. But whatever they say tonight, I hate that because you're going to like hold them to it. And then if they change their mind, they lied. No, they didn't lie. You caught them in the heat of the moment. Give them time.
There's two big decisions down in Durham we're waiting on. Lively
Yes, sir.
And Filipowski.
Lively's gone. Lively's gone.
Filipowski?
I think they both should be.
I agree. I think Filipowski should leave. I think it's like a 60-40 maybe he's gone.
But if
I
one
keep
of them
hearing-
comes back with Mark Mitchell and Proctor,
Oh.
and that class is coming in, they're a force.
If Filipowski comes back.
They're a
Number one.
force.
With Proctor. Oh, yeah. No,
Preseason number one.
Comes back, they're
Already are
over
for me. They already are for me.
Marquette?
Tonight they are for me.
Yeah,
I'm
they're higher up
I
side.
love Marquette.
Way higher up
I
side.
think the world of Marquette. I love Marquette. To me, they're not the number one team in the country.
You know who's going to be awesome next year?
They're not the
TJ
number
Power. TJ Power for Duke is going to be awesome.
Where are you going to rank Purdue?
5. I had him 5.
Yeah, that's
I
sounds
had
that's what I
them at
think
3.
they're-
I had them 3.
There's so many moving parts with it too. Like,
Oh,
we
it's
just
stupid.
don't know.
Listen, the early preseason is the dumbest. I thought about it all day today, and I'm like, do I really want to do this?
Yes, you do.
Here's why it's dumb.
I didn't want to, but I did.
But-
I did it because Fanta did. I didn't want to be outdone by John Fanta.
Yeah.
Here's why it's dumb.
all.
Here's why it's dumb. Because in 1 second, Baylor went from like 15 to 23 or 4. You know what I mean? The LJ Cryer
Right,
stuff.
right.
Like,
And they can go back to 15 if they bring Flagler back.
yep.
So, yeah.
And they can go up to the top 10 if they go get Max Asmus.
Yes, I think you're right.
All right. Well, we've reached the end here. We have 2 minutes. So
Are
you have to do it in 30
guys
seconds.
gonna race again?
No, there are
Why
no
not?
races.
Hold on.
There
Can we
are
get
no
a- can we
races.
get a-
I was going to attempt to leave on a heartfelt note
do you mean?
and not leave with silliness.
Or
I was
blood.
Yeah, we're gonna do.
Blood.
No, there's no blood.
I've been
Nobody's
assaulted
going to
at the
hospital.
Final Four.
I got assaulted last year at the Final Four. I still am waiting for a ruling from New Orleans police. They're still working on other things
You also
that
got
certain
no
individuals were
apology.
doing that
You
weekend.
got no apology.
I didn't get an apology.
No.
I said I'm sorry. It just wasn't on the air.
Let's wrap it up.
I'm having fun. I got energy now. Unlike a year ago. Can we go another
It's a
hour?
nightmare.
Let's go another hour.
You should come down too. Come on around. Come on around. So Jeff, all right, I'm gonna attempt to do this with each of us here. You're gonna speak for the entire crew.
Oh, Jesus. You don't want me to speak for the entire crew.
Just talk about our group and another season in the books. Really, our season 2 full force of what we do here, and our viewers and listeners.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it was an unbelievable year. We've had so many people say that this sport needed Field of 68, needed this late night show. The coverage that we provide, I think, is unlike any other. I mean, you look at this dude again. When I brought him in, or we brought him in, we were like, Randolph, this dude isn't going to work. Like, he's not going to work. He's Randolph Childress. And he's worked his ass off. We have some of the best hosts in I'll put our coverage up against anybody's. It's better than the ESPN's. It's better than any networks because we actually watch the games all night. We're not just looking at box scores. We're not box score berries like some of the others. We're actually watching the games and we're having fun, right? What did I say when we started this thing?
Entertain and inform.
Right. What do
That's
we do?
We try to
What do
do.
we do?
We try to entertain
Right.
and
We do it
inform.
all
We
day.
definitely do the former. We definitely do the
We have
former.
fun.
John. We
I mean,
inform,
listen,
too.
look at who we added this year. Tyler fucking Hansborough. We added to the show this year.
My personal favorite. And he did have UConn tonight. Congratulations to CoachChrisMack.com and Coach
Did
Chris
he have
Mack
him?
picks. He did. He had
Wait,
UConn. Yeah.
the mo-
Well,
what did he
he
take?
did have him
Did
because
he
we haven't
lay the
heard from him.
points?
Oh, yeah. He's somewhere in Florida right now living it up.
Yeah, we would have gotten a text with some expletives and some curse words in it at some point if he had a loser here.
He watched games.
He
The
did.
ones he was involved in.
He sure did. Yeah, I think he watched a few Louisville games too.
I'm sorry. We could guarantee you one thing. They'll be better next year. Your final reflection.
You have fun.
Listen,
I
great
know
with
you
these
do.
guys. I really enjoy with these guys. They're the best. You guys have been, everybody here, the producers. I mean, everybody. It's
Yeah,
just a quality
we
group.
added for those again. We have the best producer
Yeah.
in Dagan. We added Trevor, who is 1B. No, seriously. Other than the fact that Dagan was really pissed at him about 15 minutes
Yeah,
ago.
and Trevor's not feeling his best today. Trevor's having his flu game. He woke up this morning a little bit hungover. My man had 7 margaritas last night, so he's feeling good. He made it through.
Big rebound.
Big rebound guy.
T.O., how's your belly back there?
How are you?
Belly feels good. Now, which mic am I taking? You take it. All right.
ahead.
Well,
Orchestra hasn't started playing yet.
hey, 2 years of this, and man, it's been fun. I'm so appreciative of the opportunity. And whenever you guys called me, I did finagle my way to get you to call me.
Yeah, you sure did.
Yeah.
We didn't call you, T.O. You called us.
Yeah, that definitely happened. That's another story for another day. But I'm just so appreciative to be a part. And guys, we started with Champions Classic in New York last year, and finishing year 2 here in Houston, Texas. I mean, it's been a ride. It's fun. I'm so appreciative of both you, Jeff, and you, Rob, and I'm happy that I get to work with all of you guys. And to all the people that make fun of my bald head in the chat, I'm with it. I appreciate you guys too, and Dagan and Trevor.
Put a lot of work into that. Let them know these bald heads, man.
It's, it's not simple.
A lot of work.
A lot of work. Yeah, you got to make sure the RPMs on the razor are good. But no, in all seriousness, I'm so appreciative, and I'm so thankful. And guys, another year. Cheers to that one.
Ride.
That's my toast of the night.
Greg?
Yeah, I mean, 2 years ago, I was sitting on my couch watching, longing for anything like this, right? I was a fan of everyone standing here long before I had any sort of presence in college basketball at all. I still lose my mind when I step back and think about that. Every single moment with this network is so fun. I think we all do a fantastic job. I'm in awe of all of you, to be honest. And what a great year, man. Thanks for everybody for watching.
Oh, well put, Greg. And before I toss it to the guy who put the shovel in the ground and got us rolling along with this guy here, what I would say about this group, and we get to work with different groups of people because our whole crew, everybody's working their tails off all season long covering the sport. The Weave is fantastic. You're awesome with Sleepers. T.O. and Randolph, your TV work. Jeff, everything you do, what this guy does, what our producers do. We're part of a lot of groups. This group is family. Yeah. We are family. We're here for each other. What you have done to help a lot of people in this industry should not go unnoticed, and it does by a lot of people. But honestly, thank you, and thank you. Because I remember getting a phone call in Ohio, in Cleveland, at my mom's house during COVID. And you hopped on a conference call and you said, we want you to do a podcast, somebody in a splash of Fanta. That was the original chapter. Neither here nor there. We're not here. But the point is, you said, we're going to try to build something. And the way that this guy talked, it wasn't a try. It wasn't an attempt. It's been really fun. It's been successful. And that's because of everybody out there who cares. What we have discovered through this project is that there's a lot.
We haven't mentioned
that.
Yes.
You folks, no matter how crazy you are in the chat, please, for next season, don't bring up my clothing. But to close out the show, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. I'm going to toss it to him.
All right.
No.
You think he can do this?
No, I know he can.
No.
I know he can.
I don't know.
I'm going to toss it to a national champion and Rob Dauster.
When I think about where I was when this started, it was August 3rd, 2020. It was the middle of COVID. I had just been literally 10 minutes after I got laid off from NBC Sports. Jeff called me and he's like, "We got to start something. Like, now's the time." I had a little bit of buyout money. I had the checks coming in for a couple months afterwards, so I didn't have to necessarily worry about getting a job right away. Mortgage is still going to get paid for a while. And Jeff was like, now's the time. You have nothing else to do. When he wasn't wrong. So I had no idea what this could turn into when it started. If you would have told me 3 years ago, hey, Rob, you're going to be sitting here courtside at the Final Four after a UConn national championship, hanging out with Goodman, hanging out with RC, hanging out with Fanta, hanging out with the Weave boys, hanging out with Greg, hanging out with T.O. Shout out to Talia over there. She's not in the shot right now. Get in here, Talia.
I'll give you one better. I'll give you one better.
Yes. On the court, interviewing Danny Hurley after a win. I never could have thought what this turned into. I think it speaks to the work that all of these guys, the guys back here that you can't see, that everybody does, and it speaks to the people that watch.
That's awesome.
Congrats, man.
We love you all. We love you all. For all of us here, thank you for tuning into a great week in Houston. The UConn Huskies are national champions. This guy is a very happy man. And I'll tell you what, folks, to all you who love college basketball, we've just begun. We already were talking today about what we're here to build. More content's coming your way. Here's to a great 2022-23 season. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Onward and upward with the Field of 68 in 23-24. Good night, everybody.